Today, we're talking about a topic that I get so many questions about, and it's talking to friends and family about your baby. For many of us, our babies are on our minds all day, every day, but sharing their stories out loud feels really complicated. We want to honor them, we want to keep their memory alive and talk about them. But talking about them can also feel heavy, emotional, or even worse, met with silence from others. Check out my free ebook, 10 Questions to Ask Yourself After Losing Your Baby. Inside, I share the most common questions I hear from lost moms, along with my best advice for navigating them. You'll find guidance on responding to those who may not understand your grief or say hurtful things. Click the link right below this video to grab your free copy today. We're going to explore why it's so important to share about your baby, why it's so hard sometimes, and how you can start having these conversations in a way that feels meaningful and safe. Whether you've struggled to bring up your baby in conversation or you've felt hurt by someone's reaction, I hope that you leave this episode feeling seen, validated, and encouraged. So, first, let's talk about why this matters so much. For so many of us, speaking our baby's name or sharing their story helps us feel close to them. It's a way to say they were here and they mattered, just as any other mom of a living child would do. They get to show photos and tell funny or charming stories, and sometimes, if lost moms share their stories, they are looked at with pity because the poor woman is still struggling with that, as if it's some kind of weakness. I remember one mom telling me that she lights up when someone mentions her baby by name, even if it's been years since their loss. And I get it. Anytime our babies are remembered, especially by name, it's proof that they were here and they mattered, not just to us, but to others as well. This is something I share frequently when I'm asked to speak at events and on other podcasts. If you know someone who's lost a baby, stop right now and send them a text letting them know that you're thinking of them and their baby, using their baby's name if you know it. It's the biggest gift any stillbirth mom can get. Sharing their story also validates our experience. Losing a baby isn't something you get over, it's something you learn to carry. Talking about them helps us feel less isolated. And most importantly, it's healing. Speaking our baby's names out loud can bring comfort. It's a reminder that their memory is safe with us. Despite how important it feels, it's not always easy to start these conversations. So, why is it so hard? Why do some people seem to shut down or change the subject when you mention your baby? Well, most of the time, it's not because they don't care, it's because they don't know how to care, and they might be scared of how you'll react. They might worry about saying the wrong thing or making you sad. Or maybe they've never been through a loss like this and just don't know what to say. And let's face it, our society isn't great at talking about grief, especially baby loss. People are often taught to move on from hard things, and that mindset can leave them unequipped to hold space for your story. You're right to share. Understand that it may catch them off guard at first, but when you bring up the topic of your baby more often, they'll begin to get curious and will be more willing to ask questions or engage in conversations. When we understand why others might react the way they do, it becomes easier to approach these conversations with compassion for them and ourselves. So, how do we start these conversations? First, start with people you trust, someone who's already shown you compassion or who cares deeply about you. It's easier to begin these conversations in safe spaces. Next, let's be clear about what you need. Sometimes people need to hear it directly. Talking about my baby helps me. It's not something that makes me sad. It's actually something that's healing and brings me comfort. This might be a great way to start a conversation with your partner who may be tiptoeing around you in hopes that they won't make you cry or get more upset. It's also okay to set boundaries. If someone responds in a way that feels hurtful, you don't owe it to them to share more of your story. One mom I spoke to shared how she started a conversation with her sister by saying, I know it might feel hard for you to hear about my baby, but it's really important for me to talk about them sometimes. Are you open to that? Her sister was relieved to have permission to just listen. Can you imagine the relief for both of you if you were able to set the stage, and let them know exactly how to react instead of coming up with some sort of response to a situation. They have no experience and no idea what to say. You can do that. You can also set the tone for conversations with gentle honesty. It's okay if you don't know what to say, just you listening to me is enough. Or, I'd love to share a memory about my baby with you if you're open to it. Sometimes people just need that little invitation. Talking about your baby might bring up emotions. You might cry, or your voice might tremble, and none of that is wrong. If you do cry or get emotional, it could break the tension and give you some much needed relief. So be sure not to judge yourself and just go with it. If a conversation starts to feel overwhelming, it's okay to pause. You can always say, I need a little break. Thank you for listening to me. Remember, your emotions are a reflection of your love. They're not something to be ashamed of. If someone reacts poorly or says something hurtful, that's about them. It's not about you or your baby. And you get to decide what boundaries you might need to set with them going forward. Talking about your baby doesn't always have to be a sit down, serious conversation. Sometimes it's the little moments, saying their name out loud, including them in a holiday tradition, wearing a piece of jewelry with their initials, sharing a story or a memory casually in conversation. You definitely had memories and things that happened in that time. I often found myself referring to a period of time as when I was pregnant for the twins. We spent several months carrying these babies in our life. I often have found myself referring to a period of time as when I was pregnant for the twins. So there's no question there's memorable events that happen within that time period while you had your baby with you. One mom shared how she makes cupcakes every year for her baby's birthday and invites her family to share in that moment. It's small but meaningful and gives her a great opportunity to speak the baby's name and celebrate them. There's no right way to do this. The important thing is that it feels right for you. Not everyone will understand. Find the people that will hold space for you and your baby's story. Don't forget to grab your free ebook, The 10 Questions You Ask Yourself After Losing Your Baby, at the link below. It covers the most common questions stillbirth moms ask me, along with the insights I've gained from 25 years of life after loss and supporting hundreds of women on their healing journey. This is something so many of us navigate, and it's okay to take it one step at a time. I'll see you next week.